he edits out all the bad shit. So
Yeah. Thank goodness.
or at least that's what I've been told. The people who've listened to these podcasts, they say like, "Oh, that one was all right." And I'm like, well, that's not how I remember it. Anyway, we've got with us Andy Speer. He's a coach, co-founder of Soho Strength Lab in New York City, Performix athlete. You can also see his stuff all over the internet on Bodybuilding.com, Men's Health. You got a background in lifting, gymnastics, wrestling, track and field, having people take pictures of you in your underwear a little bit.
All of that.
And he's got a beautiful head of hair too, which is honestly doesn't really look natty to me. I don't know about the rest of it, but the head, I don't know. I will say, I don't know if this is the right way to start off this conversation.
Oh boy.
We have a nickname for you in the office.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's Swole.
I'm ready for it.
Swole W. Bush.
Swole W.
Have you ever been told that you look a little tiny bit like George W. Bush?
Young Judah. No.
No,
Okay.
never. That's a new one. That's
like
a new
young,
one.
Yeah.
jaunty
Okay.
George W. Bush.
All right,
if
all
he had
right.
really taken care of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big if, but
Yeah, exactly. I hope that's not offensive.
no, not offensive. I haven't heard it, but I'll take it. I got a lot of nicknames, so.
Yeah, they'll show that one out on the platform. Your upcoming Olympic lifting meet, right? You are
Right.
preparing for one? Is that what
Yeah. You know, the Brooklyn Barbell Open, the end of August this year, so. First time I'm actually going to compete in Olympic lifting, which will be kind of
Very
fun.
cool. Yeah.
I've done a lot of different competitions throughout my time, and my co-founder Ryan and a good handful of guys at my gym are really into Olympic lifting and very talented coaches and athletes themselves. So decided to jump on this wagon and train and hopefully have a good meet.
Wow. So that's interesting the way you're doing that. I mean, that requires a fairly systematic approach to training. You still have to sort of save room for all this other stuff like you're doing. You just did a workout with us, I'm
Right.
assuming, and other things like that. Does that come fairly naturally, or do you feel like, oh, it's kind of hard to find?
Yeah, it's a constant struggle. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I going on a pretty strict training program, and I've done that for a lot of different things throughout my time. It can be a little tricky when, you know, tomorrow I have to go do this workout and the next day you're flying and you're going to do something else that's totally, you know, competitive with what your actual goal is in 6 weeks from now. You know, that said, I'm not going to be an Olympic weightlifter at the Olympics. I want to put my best effort forth into this and do a really good job at it. And, you know, my coaches are, you know, writing programs and helping me train. So I obviously want to do my best for them as well.
Sure.
But yeah, it is a constant struggle. You know, I don't like the word struggle, but it's just that's the way it is.
Dance.
A constant dance around, doing things that are completely in line with a far off goal and things that are not quite as in line with that goal.
You've been doing, with your athletic background, I'm assuming you've been doing some Olympic lifting for quite a number of years, right?
Yeah. I mean, I started lifting weights really when I got to college. Through high school, it was all body weight training, plyometrics, even in track and field. You know, I wasn't required to go in the weight room. I really didn't know my way around the weight room. I knew my way around body weight training, sprinting, plyometrics, that type of thing. So it wasn't until I got to college to run track there, but, you know, we're on a D1 lifting program, lifting next to the guys who are going to the NFL with phenomenal strength coaches. So, you know, got thrown right into that. And that's when I started doing the Olympic lifts, you know, mainly training for track. So we do a lot of power clean, split jerks, a little bit of snatching. But, you know, so I've pretty much been training the Olympic lifts as carryover into sport for the last 15 years. So I've got a decent background and some, you know.
That probably also means that you've had some limits in your mind of like, all right, this is how much I can do it, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
Competition's a whole other thing. They're probably pushing you a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
you know, training 3 days a week, you know, Olympic lifting 3 days a week at a, you know, not an immense volume, but relatively higher than what I've been used to doing, is definitely taking a little getting used to. So, but it, you know, as I said, it's a challenge, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
And I'm interested in that because you said that you don't have sets. You know, it's not Rio 2016. You're not competing in the Olympics. You don't see that. But coming from a competitive background, you're an athlete. And I know Nick and I can both agree to this, that sometimes it's really hard not to push yourself to the point of, I think I can do a little better, I think I can do a little bit better. But when you have so many things and you're balancing so many things, how do you listen to your body, pull back, even if your coaches say, look, I need you in the gym doing X, Y, and Z today, but you just had a photo shoot, a workout. How do you adjust things, and how do you keep your mental, your mind in the same place as, okay, this is somewhat fun. It's a challenge. It's somewhat fun. I need to keep myself injury-free, but still, push myself. Like, it's a very interesting
still enjoy
mix.
training.
And still enjoy, yeah, like there's so many, because I think that's where people get lost, is they see something and they want to go 100%. And then sometimes that leads to injuries, hatred of the sport or training. So I'm interested to see how you take all that in.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great question. And I'm literally going through all of that right now. And the first to hit on the first aspect of it, definitely growing up as a competitive person, like, you put me in front of any competition, and I want to win it. There's no, however big or small it is and whoever it's against, as soon as it's like, okay, you do this and you win that, I'm in. I don't care what I win as long as I beat the next person,
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely always an underlying theme. And moving forward in that, like, for a specific example right now, like, I'm dealing with some kind of tissue issues with the lat, tricep, rear delt, which are coming from just some shoulder mobility stuff. And I thought I had pretty awesome shoulder mobility until I started feeling this horrible pain down in my lats, and went to a really great PT, and we're working on some things, taking some FRC stuff into it, and it's going really well. And that said, after I clean and getting ready for my jerk, this whole thing really fires up, and it's the last couple of weeks has been really inhibiting my practice. So my coach is like, listen, today you're just going to do 2 cleans instead of clean and jerk for these sets. All right, we're not going to throw that thing overhead and have you either hesitate and get hurt or just blow yourself out so you can't continue competing or continue training or do anything else. They appreciate where I'm at. I'm 36 years old. I'm not. I'm not.
You didn't have to tell us.
Yeah.
Just to say, I'm not 26 anymore. When and I remember when I was 26 when this didn't matter. It would go away in 3 days on its own. It's just a different game right now, and adjusting a little auto-regulation on the fly is sometimes necessary. I know that, if I put myself in certain situations and I get the exposure I need throughout that week to whatever volume or intensity we're looking for, I'll be okay, even if I have to adjust that from day to day. If I only clean and jerk really heavy one time a week, I think right now I'm going to react pretty well to that and be okay with that moving forward. Like I said, if I was 26, I could probably do that 2 or 3 times a week and it would be very beneficial to me. But, you have to look at the individual, and for everybody, it's totally different. I've got 15 years of, clean and jerking experience, not at, like I said, an Olympic caliber level, but my body's gone through that motion so many times. I still need to tweak my form. It's not perfect, but being smart about the loading and the increasing intensity throughout the next 6 weeks, and I'll probably have a pretty good total by the end of that time. But I can't blow myself out training and then come here and say, sorry guys, I can't do the workout I planned for you on a photo shoot. So it's just one of those things that, it's a dance, but just got to be smart with it and make sure the people around you appreciate, where you're at in your not only training career, but your life in general and everything else is going on. And, my coaches who are also, my business partners and my trainers at my gym obviously understand and appreciate that. So, that's, I don't know if that answers your question at all.
Perfect.
Well, I also noticed on Instagram over the weekend, though, that you did have a gut check.
Yeah.
I said, like, where does the gut check fit in there where you're like, God damn it, I need to go just do some work.
Yeah, exactly. And it really was one of those, and, one of my clients who I often work out with, he was like, hey man, let's run a circuit today. I want to get some reps in, And I just felt like I needed a little work. I wanted to sweat. I wanted to lift hard. I programmed this whole thing. So we're doing deadlifts. We're doing front squats. We're doing some ring rows, all stuff I need to work on. It wasn't something out of the blue. I'm not doing sandbag walking lunges up a hill. That's totally out of the realm of, what I need to be focusing on. But you can still, when programmed appropriately, take a little veer off from, the 1, 2, and 3 rep city. And I need some endurance. I got to sweat. I just want to feel like I got a great workout in, So as long as you program it appropriately, and even if it's way off from what you're doing, as long as you're not going to get hurt, I don't think you're going to, for me anyway, it's not going to take away from the Olympic training or whatever other training I was doing. But sometimes it's just like, man, let's get after it today. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. It's cool. I know what I'm doing. I'm doing everything I'm doing for a reason. I think that's where people get lost a lot with these crazy challenges is you're in one road of training and you're kind of working on some things, and then, all right, dude, let's go do 500 of these, and this as fast as we can. Cool, let's try it.
Or as heavy as
we can. Yeah. Well, when was the last time you lifted over 85% of that lift? Not for a long time. Why are you doing 90 of it for 10 reps right now? And jump roping in between. If you're a high-level CrossFit athlete and that's what you're training for,
great.
Do it. If you're not, think about it before you do it and see if you can maybe get the same, physical and kind of mental carryover and benefit from it that you would if you just kind of thought about it for another 2 or 3 minutes and then we planned it out a little bit better and got after it again.
Sure. Well, and I something I hear all the time is people saying or you see in the gym, somebody who, once they do something one time, a certain weight one time or a certain workout one time, it's like they're afraid to let go of it. So they sort of keep sticking it back in, even, at a high intensity that they're not normally working at. It's like, if I know I can bench that much, I've got to keep it sort of on the front burner all the time. It can be hard to take something like that you can do and then move it onto the back burner a little bit. As many different modalities as you've trained in over the years, I'm thinking about you did the Beast Tamer Challenge at the RKC. I saw a video of that. Is it hard for you to sometimes say, okay, I know I can do this, but it's got to go not only on the back burner, but I got to just kind of go do something else entirely, maybe for months, and then maybe come back to this thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you right now, I could probably do the pistol and the pull up with the Beast, but I couldn't do the shoulder press cold right now. I'd have to train for it because I trained for it. I did a 6-week ladder lifting program. It was an intense training program that I did to get that. So it doesn't mean, that you can always do a physical feat that you performed however many years or months or even days ago. That's the whole thing. We train, we periodize, we peak. People have different views and points on how on peaking and all this. But yeah, like you said, it was a goal I set to accomplish. I reached it. Cool, I did it. If my goal is to be able to press 106-pound kettlebell every day of my life, I've got to change my life around a little bit for that to happen. But I'm cool with the fact that I did it. Yeah, maybe again someday I'll bring that back into the rotation and train for the Beast again. But
do your clients struggle with that when they hit a benchmark? They're like, "Oh, this is great. This is something I've been working for," and now on to the next thing.
Some do, some don't. That really depends on individual personality. You have somebody who hit a number on the bench press, and now we're kind of focusing a little more on Olympic stuff, or a little more on conditioning, and we'll do a bench press workout within that program. It's like, man, I could do 220 last 3 months ago, and now I'm only doing 205 for 3 or whatever it is. Well, dude, we just came off a bench press cycle. And now we had another goal. We're trying to drop some body fat and get you, a little more athletic and working in some different modalities. So some people do, some people don't. And it's just all about putting it back in the kind of right frame of mind.
Not taking it like I'm getting weaker or
and you're a lawyer and you're a stockbroker and and you're an agent. You're not professional athletes. And some of them train like they are, and some of them are really, we have some amazing clients at our facility who just impress me day to day, But that said, they're also sitting at a desk for another 8 hours a day, and so we have to take the whole lifestyle into consideration. It's not it's not a max out every day. At least in my book. I know some people kind of push that, there's a lot of and I'm not saying you don't try your best every day. I'm not saying you don't give it your all every day, but I am saying you don't need to push your body to its physical limit every day. It won't last long, no matter who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking at workouts on a site like ours, which is, Bodybuilding.com, there are a lot of body part specific workouts where I think people, they see that, or it's like, if I'm only working this, I can just keep piling it on. A lot of what I see you putting out online, and the 2 workouts that I've seen that you've done for us so far are both full body workouts. What do you like about that, and why is that your first thing that you put out there, your first message? It's full body training, man.
Yeah, I think the reason why I'm giving you at Bodybuilding.com these total body workouts. One is because, like you said, there's 1,000 split routine workouts for every body part already up there. I could give you one, but it's just going to fall right in that mix, even if it's really awesome. I'm trying to give your readers and viewers, and everybody a little different take on something that they're maybe not as familiar with, where you can still hypertrophy, where you can still have a great physique. And the last workout I put out, the kind of gymnastics oriented total body one, man, you can work that into a body part split routine, no problem. You got 4 body part split days, take a rest day, do a nice total body workout. It's not going to absolutely crush you, but it'll probably challenge you, and it'll probably fix maybe some imbalances you have. It'll probably challenge you in some ways, some core control ways that you're don't really know you have issues with yet. So I have no problem with body part split, especially if you're a bodybuilder.
Right.
You have to train that way.
Yeah.
You can't do a 3-day-a-week total body workout and expect to step on a stage for a bodybuilding competition.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. You can do a 3-day-a-week kind of total-ish body workout with some different focuses and train for powerlifting that way, or train for anything that way. So I'm not against split routines. My thing is that you need to know when you're using them and why you're using them. And for the general population, getting them doing total body movements where you're working on not just a cable machine or a hammer strength machine. I love them both, but having some motor control, becoming aware of what you're doing in space, being able to jump and swing and hang and push and pull yourself around, and then do the same with an external load, whether it be a barbell, dumbbell, or kettlebell, or sandbag, or anything, or another person. It's just as important for general pop. I think even more important. So I have nothing against split routines. I think they're very, very important for a purpose. I just feel that for general population, mixing in total body workouts can be really beneficial.
Yeah. And I think too, yes, like you mentioned, bodybuilders for sure benefit from split body parts, but when you look at the number or the percent of people that is that population, it is very small, and we tend to kind of neglect other people that only have 3 to 4 days a week to work out, who maybe don't even have accessibility to all of these machines, weight rooms, and looking at the gym that you have, some of my favorite gyms are the ones that you walk in, it doesn't even look like a gym necessarily. Like you're like, well, where's the machines? Where are the free weights? I was an intern at a place, and you could probably count on one hand like the number of dumbbells we had. It just wasn't there. It was ropes. We did have power racks, and it was like a turf that you could push a sled on, and more of that functional training that makes it transfer over to everyday life, I think, a little bit better. But I think it encourages people to work out, because you're like, oh, I can do this. I have this equipment, rather than I don't have a hack squat machine. So how do I do this?
And nothing in the gym like that is there by accident either. It's there because somebody wants it to be there, because you chose it out. You're like, this is the vision I have of my training space.
Yeah,
exactly. And especially in Manhattan, where
you don't have
space
the
does not
space.
come cheap. Yeah, you really have to think about, every day it's like, man, this thing is so cool. Where we're going to put it and what's leaving if we get it. You know what I mean? So
and how many functions can it do? It's great
exactly.
the more things you can do with something.
And how multifunctional is this? And this is just for our trainers, or can our clients actually use this too? Stuff like that. So yeah, exactly. I love the space we have in the gym. It's not bound up with machines. we lift a lot of heavy weights there. People are very strong, but they're very agile and mobile, and can climb ropes and jump and swim and do that stuff too. So.
And as you've, gone from not only being an athlete to sort of being, all right, I'm an athlete, but I'm a model too. People are taking pictures of me. Do you find that approach of like, you train like an athlete, training full body, has that served you well enough? Or sometimes you're like, oh my God, I feel like I need to do some bodybuilding too.
Don't get me wrong. I have chest days. I got back days. Like I still, today we shot a chest and back workout. So not complete split, but, semi-split kind of deal. Yeah, when I'm looking to get a little bigger hypertrophy, like I just late spring going into the summer, I just did like a 5-3-1 type program. So, and that's the powerlifter's version of body part split. And it worked great. I put on some muscle. I felt really strong. I got the, I was missing that pump a little bit, of the, 5 sets of 10 pull-ups, chin-ups, 5 sets of 15 dips, like your arms kind of blow out, and I felt like I was missing that a little bit just in my training kind of leading up to that. So it felt good to get the pump on. I love that. And I don't train, 3 days a week, full body routine. That's it, all the time at all. I absolutely will, hammer my back, hammer my chest when, when I need to. So as far as developing and keeping athleticism, I think, working those total body movements and those kind of total body type days in are very, very important. But, that said, as far as hypertrophying muscles, you got to have a back day, or at least a back and something else day, whatever it is. If you're working out for 60 or 90 minutes and you're doing a total body, you just don't have enough time to focus on that particular body part to really get the response that you're looking for, to put the volume on it that you need if you want something to grow. So, I've done and I still do my fair share of, split training. Right. I'll just pepper that in, or I should say program that in, when and where is appropriate. As
you've gotten into your mid 30s, I guess you would call them. I'm 36 as well. Do you find that, doing some of that prioritizing muscle building is more important? I feel like I've heard that from some people. Like I did a piece with Charles Staley recently, who he was saying like, he's in the best shape of his life at 55, he says, and it's just by doing alternating phases of strength, muscle, and he says, if I had it all to do over again when I was starting to get older, I should have done more muscle, which is, as a strength guy, is really hard for him to say. Do you feel like, as you grow as a person a little bit older, do you have to sort of alter your priorities a little bit like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Number one priority that keeps coming back around is staying healthy. As you get older, age, and then also the wear and tear that you've put on your body, especially if you've been a competitive athlete or lifter for the last 20, 30 years. So yeah, keeping in mind the health aspect of it, checking back in on things like, man, I thought my shoulders are in pretty good shape, but having somebody else who's really good at looking at shoulders, look at them, and be like, hey man, you got to work on this. Here's some drills to do that. This is a little too tight. You're a little too protracted here. This part, your retractors are not really as strong as they should be. I thought I always had a super strong back, but stuff like that. But then, going to like the hypertrophy aspect of it, absolutely. Keeping muscle mass on just gets harder and harder as the human organism gets older. That's the bottom line. And if we can keep that muscle mass on safely, I think that's one of the best anti-aging tools out there. No question to ask. So, I can't hammer myself with the volume I did before. So I have to kind of do it a little, with a little more thought than just, like I said, getting after it every day.
You just eat more.
But you just gotta
sleep,
eat more,
eat more, and sleep more, and train more.
Right. But I 100% agree with Charles on that one. That keeping as much lean muscle mass on the body as you age is probably one of the best kind of health and longevity tools around. And that doesn't mean you have to be 5'10", 230, but just for your frame, what is an appropriate amount?
On that same topic, how would you say your nutrition and recovery has changed? Because you have been an athlete, from a gymnast to track and field to, keep the list goes on. How has that changed as you've gotten older and as your training's changed too, but to make sure, obviously you are dealing with some injuries right now, but have you noticed changes? Were you able to get away with a lot more things younger? And where did you learn, or was it just more trial and error? Like, my body needs this more than that. It needs to do this sort of stretching mobility more on these days versus, a lower intensity day.
Yeah. So as far as the nutrition, I grew up a skinny kid. I was, I think I wrestled at 128 my junior year in high school. I was a rail. I think I broke 100 pounds like my sophomore year of high school. So I literally, could eat anything and I was just a thin little rail. I was, a lean, wiry guy, but I've always had the opposite issue of, the skinny guy can't gain weight. So, that said, when I was younger, college and, kind of mid-20s, it was basically just calories. Like, I just needed to get calories in. And at that point, I was getting plenty of protein, between shakes and food. In college, I probably ate 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day. Give or take, 3 huge meals at the cafeteria, an extra thing on top of that, whatever came late night.
Emptied stuff into the backpack.
Yeah,
Totally did that.
I heard somebody, there was the video we ran the other day with this guy was saying that he would take the thing of hard-boiled eggs and just dump it into his backpack and eat 28 hard-boiled eggs a day. Jeez. So anyway, continue.
And I wonder what that backpack smells like.
Yeah,
right now.
or just that human being, man. Yeah, it smells like a chicken.
But yeah, so, and I've noticed absolutely more so probably the last 4 years, 3, 4, 5 years, that I cannot eat whatever I want anymore. I still, I still have leeway. I still, if I train, frequently and well, I have a pretty good way to kind of burn off what I put in me, but I do need to eat cleaner. Not saying I don't, just in general from my younger years, like rather than just piling down the Subways and the pizza and then a protein shake, high quality, nutritious food, cleaner. That's the big thing. I notice if I go on a little like junk food bender, if I'm just not careful for a couple weeks, and, I'm kind of eating on the go, traveling a lot, that kind of thing. Yeah, the little back fat popping in there, it's like right back there. Where did that come from? Definitely have to just be more on, on top of that kind of thing. And as I said, where I found out what I needed to eat, and this was just, over the years of a lot of reading and experimenting, both on myself and clients. I think, and probably attest, there's the general rules out there that kind of hold true for the most part for everybody, but then everybody's a little different. So you got to kind of tweak your macros. I used to do, and I still do fairly well on, a relatively higher carbohydrate diet, as long as I'm getting, 30-40% of that's protein and the rest kind of fat. I did a really hardcore paleo trip a few years back, and I totally OD'd on bacon and sweet potatoes. I didn't eat a sweet potato for like 3 years after that, man. It was like bacon, grass-fed butter, and sweet potatoes at every meal possible. But I was incredibly lean and ripped. Like I was just like, sugar was out, processed things are out, super clean, relatively high fat, high protein, and then all the carbs were, paleo approved carbs, tubers and some rice and stuff like that. I couldn't gain any weight. I couldn't eat enough to gain weight, but I got super lean. So, for me, it's just pretty much adjusting the carbohydrate intake. And I find that true with a lot of people. Whether you want to put on a little size, maintain where you're at, or shred down is the one variable that's the most easily accessible to control. And then you kind of deal with the fat and the proteins. I like people to get, especially if you're trying to lean out, protein is key. Just getting that. I work off like 100 grams per body weight. Did I say that right? 100 grams per pound, a gram per pound of body weight. Excuse me.
Some people would do 100 grams.
Somebody's writing that down right there.
Okay, there we go.
Grams of protein today.
Done.
Let's say eat a human being.
Yeah. Well, the person eating 28 hard-boiled eggs probably getting close to that.
Yeah. But for weight loss and leaning out, you know, for most people, we'll kind of start there and then tweak as we need to. So, you know, if I keep the protein high enough and the carbohydrates are the pretty, you know, and get enough healthy fat in the carbs, I find that holds true for most people. The carbs are that easy thing to adjust if you want to either have more energy for sport or activity, or if you want to, you know, lean out and drop the body fat.
Right.
Now, so yeah, looking back at all the different modalities that you've trained in, do you feel like there are easy things that you can point out and say, oh my God, that was the thing that made a huge difference? Like when you talk to somebody who's been training for a long time, they say, well, looking back, it was like, my time as a gymnast was what made all the difference. Or you hear from people who did the RKC, as I did earlier this year, they're like, that thing made the huge difference. You know, it's like, it's a watershed moment where it's like, okay, it set the foundation of everything to come afterwards. What are some of the things in your career as an athlete that you just go, oh yeah, that set me?
Yeah, that's funny because I mean, literally the two things you just mentioned. As far as a physical foundation, my gymnastics at an early age was absolutely what gave me that ability to perform at a higher level in other sports. No questions asked. The connective tissue strengthening, the plyometric response, the isometric holds that are necessary, and then the mobility. You know, I can still, you know, I can't do as many crazy gymnastics things as I used to be able to do, but I can still walk on my hands, you know, around the block and back, and just hold that really solid overhead position and a really solid, you know, hollow body type position, which I think gave me a great foundation moving forward. And then, you know, going into the track and field and the sprinting, just learning proper sprint mechanics, learning proper jumping mechanics. You know, one of my biggest things, and I try to get this through to my clients too, and we just do, you know, in the space we have like 60, 70 feet of turf. So you can't go a full on sprint, but you can mimic that in a lot of ways, and skipping drills, little plyo drills, that type of stuff, just to get the body mechanics ingrained, I think is super, super, super important.
That's just good movement.
Just good movement quality. Yeah, exactly. You know, that did make me a very linear person. Gymnastics and track, as much as they do spinning in gymnastics, it's still a very linear type spin. So, you know, later in life and trying to, when I get into things like I've been training Muay Thai recently in the last kind of 5-6 years of my life.
What do you not do? And I also do Muay Thai.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't do. You know, I just like to
No,
to
that's
dabble.
awesome. It's awesome.
It's you know, I just use that example because there's a lot more rotational and you know, that transverse plane, and also the dipping and diving in and out of kind of avoiding hits and the defense aspect of it. So my front kick, or the teep they call it, is really, really strong. And I have a strong rotational kick, but the technique of that does not come nearly as naturally to me as just that straight sagittal plane hip extension does. So, you know, it's funny, you look back and you say, oh, these things really built my foundation. But then there's also some gaps in there too. I was really lucky when I first started training in the city to have a really good group of trainers around me. And I did the RKC, I think in 2009 or 10. And that's when Pavel was still actually teaching the RKC. Wow. So he was our lead instructor, and, you know, we had an awesome team there of, you know, assistant instructors. But spending 3 days, you know, with Pavel when I was 27 or 28 or something like that, and kind of just getting into the world of personal training, strength and conditioning. I'd been doing it for a long time, but kind of taking the look of like how to apply it now to training and both myself and other people. That was a really phenomenal experience. And I went to a couple other seminars with him and guys like Dan John, who's another amazing, you know, just voice and trainer. So aside from the kind of physical aspect of that, and, you know, the little goodies and the gems that are just dropped, just the you know, looking at the completeness and the kind of calmness that some of these guys who just have been around the highest level of sport for the last 30 years have was really amazing. And, you know, made me want to kind of follow along and not do the same thing, but just be able to get to kind of that same space of like, all right, you know, I've been around the block. I don't know everything, but I do know this right now. So I'm going to give it to you because I know it works. And we're still working on figuring out maybe what works better than this. So
just sort of changing your mindset from an athlete to a teacher almost. It sounds like you're, all of a sudden you're not just doing stuff, but you're doing stuff, and sharing it. That seems like an important step.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that was, and I feel like always, I haven't always been so kind of outspoken. I was a pretty shy little kid. Like I was really awkward, super skinny kid, big ears. Like I did gymnastics all through high school. Like I didn't get too many girls that way. These Olympic guys with their big buff arms, I'm sure they're doing all right. But I was like, I was kind of awkward and goofy. Like I wasn't, I wasn't the prom queen or prom king by any means. But that said, I always had something innate in me that was like I just wanted to push the person next to me, even if I knew, like in track practice through high school and through college. When I got to college, I was running next to these guys who were, just flat out badasses. They're going to be in the NFL, and even my guys who were just track guys too were just phenomenal athletes. And I did okay competition wise, but I knew I wasn't going to the Olympics. You kind of have that feeling like, all right, this is where I'm at. I'm totally cool with it. I'm having a great time competing. I love the competition. But I really kind of loved fall training even a little more. And I loved being the guy to be like, yo, let's go. Let's like, I'm going to push you in the sandpit sprint. You're going to beat me on the track in the spring, but I'm going to beat you right now. Like, or at least push you hard enough, to get to get to yourself to push harder. And I think that's what kind of carried over. And then allowing that, innate little kind of motivation to come into play in the teaching, training, coaching forum was really when and that kind of happened progressively over my mid to late 20s when I started training people. It's like, man, this is what I do for fun, like with my friends, just like helping them out, training, giving them tips on this, like motivating. I can do this like for a living now. This is awesome,
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I get personally so much satisfaction out of watching somebody accomplish something they couldn't do before, or whatever it is. If it's a physique goal, if it's a performance goal, and half the time the clients, or the people, they don't even know what their goal is, and that's our job too, is to kind of help set those goals. But it's been, I've been really, really fortunate over the years to be able to work with hundreds of people, and hopefully moving forward, affect thousands more.
But you still like to be coached, also, right? Like you have your friends, your colleagues coaching. You're saying, "Oh yeah, I thought my retractors were strong." You like having that objective set of eyes, because that's a whole other skill. It seems like once you've been doing it for a while, you think, "I know what's going on here." Clearly, I know my own body, but you say maybe even at elite level, you don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think. I feel like even the more you grow, the more you, I don't want to say that, the more you get really good at something, sometimes you can get very myopic in your view. And also the more you start looking at other people, the less you start looking at yourself. And it's like, okay, I'm cool. Nothing's like totally breaking down on me. I still look pretty good. I can still hang with the little guys in a lot of these lifts. Like, it's cool. I kind of take a little bit of look off of my own self and onto other people. But, I love like having somebody watch me train and telling me what's wrong with it. Or going to the PT and they're like, all right, dude, we got to put some serious work into these retractors here. That's what's causing this whole mess of tissue right there, is because you're compensating this way and that way, and I thought it was something totally different. It's not that I wasn't kind of aware there was a problem, but always, I don't know everything, as nobody does, and I'm not a corrective exercise specialist at all. I think I'm really good at, motivating, getting people to do, really fun, creative, effective workouts. But I'm not a specialist in Olympic lifting. My partner Ryan is. He's phenomenal. You can look at me from across the room, 50 feet away, watch me do a clean and jerk and give me 2 cues that, how did you even see that from that far away? And so like, I love and appreciate everybody, in my life that is willing to, help me better myself. And that comes back around. Now I'm more aware of where I'm at in certain areas, and that's going to come back to my clients. So it's that big circle, and it's sometimes you can kind of get stuck in the circle.
Yeah.
And if you don't let those outside views and perspectives come in, you keep spewing the same stuff.
Yeah.
And it may not be bad stuff, but it's not growing and it's not maturing. And, I think everybody, and I find myself kind of stuck in these circles sometimes. And so that's when I'll do something like, let me compete. Let me really like get some outside eyes on this. Let me put something in, just get a little more specific and see what comes out of it. So
competition sort of keeps you honest almost there then. Have you competed in Muay Thai then as well, or
not?
'Cause that's a whole other step. Competing and fighting, man.
so this is, and I don't know if it's getting close to the midlife crisis or whatever, but I've been training the sport for 5 or 6 years on and off. I love it. It's probably the thing that I picked up later in life that I love the most. And after this Olympic lifting meet, I'm going to get back in and make the same push to go and, do some amateur Muay Thai fights. So, yeah, absolutely. It's on the list. I've been in and out of it for a while, and just, one of those things that sometimes kind of life takes over and you get off track, and it's a little different than, running a 5K. You want to be like pretty well prepared going into those things. So, but it's a great place I train at in New York, and they're super smart, and they have a lot of belts on the wall. They know what they're doing. So, again, I'm not going to walk into that gym and say, I'm ready to fight, or I'm ready to fight in 6 weeks. I'm going to say, Coach, I'm back. I want to fight. Let's set a plan. I want to make this happen. And I'm going to listen to him on what the plan is and what we have to do to make it happen.
It's kind of like a 5K though, if you think about it. Like if you run a 5K, you're not going to set any world records in the 5K at this point. Like you're going to go do this competition, even though you're probably not going to make it anywhere in the global Muay Thai scene, right?
Right.
But what for people who like getting into stuff but don't take it to that next level of competition, like what's the value?
Yeah, and to follow up, like what motivates you? If I'm not gonna necessarily win gold or whatnot, people might be like, oh, I'm kind of getting to the age where
why bother
competing? Should I even do this?
Yeah, that's a good question. For me personally, it's just exploring new avenues of physical and mental challenges. Physical expression and mental kind of strength, toughness, capacity, however you want to put that, has always been a part of my life. And I think it's just, we put this word competition out there and it gets kind of scary for people.
Right.
But, what about the 30-day squat challenge? I like this challenging. A competition is a challenge. So let's not scare people away from challenging themselves with a big competition that's, if I don't make it, people are going to make fun of me. If I may get, hurt training for this, like people, I don't know. It's just setting a goal and challenge yourself and, running through, especially, in physical training, if, and anything in life, you can kind of go through the motions, and if you're okay with that and that's just part of your routine, like that's totally cool. But I think adding some challenge to some aspect of the training really sparks people. It gets them fired up. Whether it's a weight loss challenge or a performance challenge, it happens all the time. There's to lose 10 pounds, whatever it is. I think people get scared of the word competition when in reality, competition and challenge, although in the nuances, there's some differences.
One of them, you pay money. That's the thing that makes the biggest difference, right?
Right.
You pay your money to enter that Muay Thai.
Get into that competition.
There it is.
Yeah, exactly. But people, these little challenges and competitions through people's lives is that's what's gonna keep you going and get motivated. So I think it's just applying the proper competition or challenge to the individual at the right time, which is going to have a lot of benefit to that. Very few people are ever going to make the major leagues and the Olympics and whatever it is, but that doesn't mean you can't really make some great strides and have some great achievements where you are relatively in your own life. And I think people take away from that too much. Like, yeah, that was awesome, man. Like a year ago, there was no possible way you could have even come close to doing what you just did right now. That's a great accomplishment. It's a huge accomplishment for anybody, you know? So, you know, I like to kind of take, you know, let's make things in relative terms, and then we can appreciate what we're doing and appreciate the, you know, the achievement and the hard work that went into it.
Yeah, that's very well put.
Yeah. So do a lot of your clients, do they, you know, when they come to you, do they have a competition or a challenge that they want, or do you encourage them as a means to keep them on track and stay motivated?
Or like, you've earned it. You've earned the right to now go compete in this or something. Yeah.
Yeah. They're just
Sometimes-
lost. They're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
It, you know, it really depends too. Like we got a couple of our clients at the gym now who are competing in the Barbell Open at the end of the summer too. You know, it's a 52-year-old guy and his 13-year-old son.
Nice.
My partner Ryan coaches in Olympic lifting. So super cool. You know, we have people do, you know, road races, Spartan races, that type of thing. If we don't have a goal, you know, we're going to set one. You know, I have a guy like wants to come in and learn some gymnastic stuff. So we've got a couple moves that we're working towards the handstand push-up, and we're working towards the lever. And to be honest, a lot of what, you know, kind of my mindset is in general population training, you know, at least with my clients, is I want them to be really good at what they're doing outside the gym. So if I get a guy come in 50 years old, I still like to surf, and I still want to be able to run around, and like, you know, if I want to do a boot camp in the summer with my friends, or I want to go skiing in the winter, okay, cool. So, you know, we're going to design a program that's going to be really beneficial in a lot of ways, but how'd your surf trip go? Dude, I've never felt so good on that surfboard. My friends were like, what is going on with you? First of all, you look amazing, and you're crushing it out there. Like, that to me is the grand scheme benefit. And why are we doing that? It's, you know, I guess we're separating life in the specific competition, but you know, I want somebody to be able to, who likes skiing, to go and ski and have a great time skiing and do very well and not get hurt. Period. You know, there's no, you don't need, we don't need to put it on a pedestal for that. Like that's your life. I want you to enjoy your life. So a lot of the training I do with people, obviously there's a lot of physique-based stuff, and everything's kind of geared towards, all right, we're keeping the physique in check at some level. If they come in and it's like, I want to do gymnastics. Okay, we're going to set our gymnastics goals and come in. I want to do this. We can learn a power clean, and we can gain our rope climb at the same time as, you know, setting you up to have an amazing surf trip. I'm not training for an Olympic lifting competition. You know, when we're just learning to be competent in a power clean, which is going to have some carryover everywhere in your life. Right. So again, you know, my big thing with the general pop is, if you have something you're specifically aiming for, let's do that, but let's keep you really healthy in the meantime and not let that take away from the rest of your life. And if you don't have a specific thing, all right, what do you like to do? What do you do on your off time? Because everybody has, you know, or whatever it is, skiing, surfing, biking. I like playing baseball with my kids in the front lawn, but my shoulder's bothering me. All right, well, let's figure that out then. Let's address that, because I want you to play with your kids. I want you to have a good time doing that. So, you know, for me, it's like, I just want to better the overall life and enjoyment of things outside the gym. You know, I feel that a lot of times the numbers in the gym can get in the way of that. And like I said, if you're, you know, if it's a specific issue that you're working with and or training for, numbers are really important. You know, you got to keep track, and we got to push a little bit harder. If you just want to learn how to do and be competent in some certain movements and develop a, you know, robust movement variety, and then you want to, I always want you to feel good in life. You know, I want you to walk out of that gym like feeling like, yeah, you had a good workout, but more importantly, after you've come and seen me for a year, you feel better overall, you know, and you can go on your runs, and your runs are going to be faster, but you feel better running. You know, you can go on your trips or whatever it is, and you're play softball, and you're healthy and you're doing better at softball. You know, like I said, it's not the Olympic softball team, But that's your thing, man. I want you to love it, and I want you to be really good at it, and I
Sure.
want you to be better than you were last year at it.
And maybe save room there for the occasional parlor trick, like doing a Turkish get-up with your girlfriend on your arm or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure. Yeah, you know.
it's a good thing to bust out at
Throw
the
that in
party.
there, too. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Chrissy wanted to ask you about the correct way to do the human get-up, as I recall. She was
the human get-up. That was impressive.
What's the secret apart from
yeah.
trust?
You gotta have a girlfriend or fiance now that knows how to stay tight in the ball.
Yeah. How many was it successful on the first try, or were
Yeah. I mean, there's the get-ups, and again, I'll honestly take that right back to gymnastics. Like my overhead locked out position, it's just super, super strong. I'm not saying getting something up there isn't difficult, but once it's up there, I can pretty much hold a house over my head. So, and you know, going through the RKC and really putting a lot of times in some, you know, kettlebell, barbell, dumbbell, heavy get-up work. Yeah, it's actually, I don't want to downplay the event, but if you trust the person you're with and you get the setup right, it's not as crazy as it looks. It's definitely challenging.
So we're gonna practice this
tomorrow. I've done a get up with my niece on my arm, and I found that it was actually easier than doing it with most other weights because the center of gravity is lower. So it's like she's, you know, whatever, 15 pounds heavier than the heaviest kettlebell I'd ever done it with, and I got up there and I was like, this wasn't so bad.
That's
you know?
that's one of the tricks.
But she's got to stay
Get it locked
tight.
in. You got to stay tight. But
if the person's moving,
their mass, like you said, their mass just even more so than the kettlebell is almost down by your elbow.
Right.
Okay.
So that's going to shorten that whole lever arm and give you a lot less instability aspect to work with. But it's, you know, it's a really cool thing to do. You know, I've never been on the other side of the get-up. But yeah,
you've never been gotten up.
I've never been lifted up or gotten up. I don't know. But
well, cool. That seems like a good place to end the conversation. Really appreciate it. If you look on Bodybuilding.com, we have all of Andy's workouts that he's contributed to us so far there. We need to get like a landing page, like the Andy Speer shrine on there to have all those. Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Well, we'll get it done.
Anyway, thanks for talking with us. It was great.
Thanks a lot, guys. Had a great time.